came out this afternoon. We took a helicopter tour of the site. We then transferred over to the Families Assistance Center, where we met with just a whole host of folks in a church, gathered supporters of the families and actually family members themselves who lost loved ones in this tragedy. We spoke with them and expressed our deep sorrow and the support that this community has. And let me just say, it was quite moving to be there with those families. Most importantly, to be there with the people in the community that are surrounding those families. There's counseling support for them, there's church support, there's community support. It's kind of what Tennesseans do. They surround themselves in the greatest of times of challenge. And as we all were reminded, and I said to them, this, as tragic as this is, the strong outpouring of the faith community there, the understanding that God is a redeemer and that he can take the most tragic situations in lives and turn them around. You felt that happening even in that room there today. We then went to the Joint Center where all of the first responders, all the agencies that are on the ground today, and as you know, they're led by ATF, but TBI, the local sheriff's office, and by the way, ATF and TBI and the sheriff are here with me today for any questions that we might have for them. The Highway Patrol, the State Medical's office, 2 county sheriff's departments. There are agencies from across the country. I was reached out to on the day of the incident from the federal government, cabinet position levels, multiple governors across the country that reached out to me. So the nation has seen this tragedy, and they've been incredibly responsive. And what's all the way down to the local community, the response has been tremendous. It's an active situation, obviously very new. There's a lot of questions that have been yet unanswered, but the folks are here that can do that work, and that work will happen, will last for months in an effort to get the answers that people need for closure, for understanding, and just to make sure that there's a full awareness of what's taking place on this tragic spot in this beautiful community that is so hard to watch. Happy to take questions.
Governor, during the tour, what was most striking to you?
Well, in the helicopter tour, obviously the fact that where there was a full functioning facility, there's virtually nothing. That this magnitude of the blast was felt 20 and 30 miles away. There's indication from the professionals on the ground that hundreds of miles away there were seismic recordings of this blast. It was a terrific blast, but the magnitude of that it's devastating to see. I actually toured this facility 5 years ago, and with the employees. They had a jobs announcement, they had an expansion, and so we were here 5 years ago, and to fly over it today and see that, very heartbreaking.
Governor Lee, there was an incident in 2014, another deadly explosion here, and then here we are today. Were you made of any red flags about this company prior to this incident?
Well, my understanding is that incident in 2014 was a different company that no longer operated in this facility, so my understanding is that that's completely unrelated to this facility, to this company.
Do you want to see changes made again here now after all of this? Because I know there are tons of companies that work here out of this place, and the military as well is relying on things, so where do you have a hand in all of that in decision making?
I mean, I think that we always want to make sure that facilities in the state are operated safely, and OSHA is one of the agencies that's responsible for that. So there will be investigations to see just what happened. I think it's early, right? We don't know what happened. No one knows what could have caused this or why it might have been caused, and that's exactly what's happening here on the ground today, is to get an understanding really of what's happened.
Governor, can you share more about some of the conversations you've had with families of the victims and just kind of how they're feeling?
You know, it was very somber in there in the church. Tears and stunned silence, quite frankly, from most of them in a situation of real grief. So primarily as an outreach to them of love and concern and care and prayer, and that was evident in the room, and professional support as well. Really, the sheriffs got up and spoke, the county mayor got up and spoke, I spoke, really to just say, if there's anything that you all need in this community, we want to be here to help you. And we really know that the greatest help comes from those people that are actually sitting around them, holding their hands. But it would be as you would expect. Their loved ones were here a couple days ago and they're gone today. And there's a lot of heartache with that. But it was also, as I said, really encouraging to see the outpouring from the community, and I suspect we'll see a lot of healing over the next few months.
Governor Lee, this company back in 2019 had multiple OSHA violations. Multiple employees were victims to different type of chemical exposures. Is this something that OSHA may be looking into when it comes to, as this investigation furthers on, some sort of accountability that could happen to this company if they were found to be involved?
Well, certainly the reports from 2019 are clear, and they're there as evidence. We know exactly what those reports were, and they're available, so we know what that was about. And I think that was resolved in that same year. There were actions taken and reports made there. So that's what happens in workplace, where there's a workplace incident. They're reported, they're investigated, citations are made or not made. There's a full reporting and accountability of that, and that occurred those 5 years ago. I'm not aware of any other incidents from that point forward, but that'll all be part of this investigation, is just more fully understanding what happened.
And then tailing off of the last question, what type of resources are out there for the families of these victims? I mean, we're talking 16 families at this point. What kind of resources does the state have to offer to them, kind of in their time of need?
Well, certainly we're trying to get answers for them. The state medical examiner will be working together with the TBI, the FBI, the ATF, as they're the lead in this investigation. Answers. That's what families will ultimately want, to get closure, and that will be provided in time. This is an enormous site that will have to be fully investigated, and that'll happen. But again, there's counseling resources that have already been made available to them, and the community is surrounding them. So I think, as I told the first responders and the agencies that were working in the operations center here, part of the healing that comes for families like this is when they see professional response on the ground that's trying to do the job that's supposed to be done in the aftermath of a tragedy like this. And they're certainly seeing that, so that's the greatest thing that we can do to help them.
You said yourself the nation knows about this tragedy. You've heard from cabinet level people. For people all across the country, what can you tell them about this community, all of the neighboring towns and counties?
You know, I don't live far from here, and grew up in this region here. Had a farm in this county. These are remarkable people. They're very resilient. They have been through tragedy. As you know, the Waverly floods in Humphreys County just a few years ago, where we had over 24 deaths in a tragic moment, frankly, just a couple of hours. They're not inexperienced with heartache and tragedy here. This community came together in that tragedy in remarkable ways, and have supported one another and recovered in a very strong fashion. It'll happen again here today. I saw it there in the church just a few minutes ago. But nevertheless, the loss is staggering. The losses are staggering. And quite frankly, to know that the world knows and to know that the nation is focused is a part of that sense of, you know, someone sees me and someone knows that this has happened to me. I think that's important. It doesn't solve the problem for them. It doesn't bring their loved one back. But to be heard and to be seen is a part of the healing process for every family.
Governor, this might be a question for the sheriff, but where exactly does the investigation stand into how this happened?
I'll let either one, any of these respond, but I'll just say broadly, there's a vast amount of work being done right now. The ATF will work for months if it takes. As one of the questions I asked them is, how long will this take? And what the response was, as long as it takes. That's how long it will take. We will work until there is no work left to be done to try and find the answers that need to be found. Right now, there's still a live scene. They're still investigating explosives that may be on the site that need to be detonated, that need to be recovered. So that is happening. At the same time, there's an investigation into, trying to identify victims themselves, and then there will be an investigation into the cause of what actually happened. But first, to kind of secure the scene from a live standpoint, and then from a victim standpoint, and then you move to solutions. Anyone want to add to that?
Thank you, Governor.